This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
First at 11, we start with a Storm Team 6 alert as rain and storms move through central Indiana. Good evening to you tonight. I'm Mark Mullins.
And I'm Amanda Starantino. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory timing out this system. Hey, Kevin.
And Amanda, the good news, severe storms are unlikely. The greater threat will be pockets of heavy rainfall and some minor flooding potential as a result. I'll show you one flood advisory from just north of Terre Haute to Rockville to Brazil in northern Clay County, where you've already had over 2 inches of rain, and it continues. You may see another ½ an inch to an inch. Anywhere along Interstate 70 between Terre Haute and Cloverdale and Greencastle, then drifting north and east. Good solid area of rain, some lightning, some gusty winds. Lebanon now has the lightning headed toward Frankfort and Kokomo. As far as the big picture, you've seen less rain so far this evening in eastern Indiana. This will slide across the state overnight. Our rain chances continue to peak through 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they'll diminish after that. 2 other changes to talk about for tomorrow coming up.
We'll see you soon, Kevin. Thank you. Now to the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic from the State Department of Health. 2,363 people have died from this virus in Indiana. 13 newly reported deaths happened between May 28th and yesterday. Nearly 419,000 people have been tested in our state. Just over 10% have tested positive. When it comes to the healthcare system, the state says 38% of ICU beds are available across Indiana and 81% of ventilators are available.
And while Indiana has seen a steady drop in reported COVID-19 cases since the middle of April, several states, including Florida, Arizona, and Texas, have seen a surge in their cases in just the past few weeks. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker talks to a doctor here in Indianapolis who doesn't want the same thing to happen to Indiana. He's begging people to remember the pandemic is not over and safety recommendations still apply.
Dr. Christopher Belcher, an infectious disease specialist at Ascension St. Vincent, has been on the front lines of the pandemic since the spring.
Really at the beginning, we were struggling to keep afloat. We were flailing in the water.
But that's not the case anymore.
Now we're at a good pace swimming, but you can't ask us to go much faster.
Whether people are protesting racial injustices or sitting outside enjoying a meal on Mass Ave, these last few weeks have been full of folks ignoring some, if not all, the guidance given to us by doctors. Guidance that everyone needs to be reminded of, according to Dr. Belcher.
Social distancing, keeping that physical distance of at least 6 feet between people is very important, as well as wearing masks, as well as if you're in a high-risk group, just avoiding social situations as much as you can.
And he can sympathize with those of us getting tired of wearing a mask every time we leave the house.
Doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, people in hospital who have to wear them their entire shift there. We feel for you. We know exactly what it's like to have those masks on, but it is very important.
Very important because your decision to wear a mask could save somebody's life.
This virus is mostly spread by these respiratory droplets, spread by talking, sneezing, coughing, and they're large and they can be easily captured by a mask, and you can prevent someone else from getting sick.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Public health experts say more testing is not the reason behind the increase of positive tests in certain states. Otherwise, there will be a surge everywhere. They point to businesses reopening and people relaxing social distancing guidelines as the culprit.
The World Health Organization says in the last 24 hours alone, more than 183,000 new COVID-19 cases have been reported globally. That is the most in a single day so far. In the U.S., more than 120,000 people have died from the virus. ABC's Rena Roy reports people who live in states facing setbacks are sharing warnings now.
As the country reopens, at least 23 states and Puerto Rico are seeing a rising number of reported COVID-19 cases, including Oklahoma, where President Trump held his first rally during the pandemic.
Thank you, Oklahoma.
The Trump campaign did hand out sanitizer and masks, but did not require attendees wear them. 6 members of the campaign advance team tested positive for the virus, as did 2 more who were working the rally Saturday night.
The fact is that we detected the staff members who tested positive because of our doing our due diligence in conducting tests of that manner. And
tomorrow, Trump will hold another campaign event in Arizona, also a hotspot, but said he was not concerned when asked about potentially putting American lives at risk.
I'm not worried about it. No, not at all. We watch it. We're very careful.
Meantime, this father and son in Arizona, both hospitalized with the virus, are warning others to take it seriously.
If you don't have to go out, don't go out. Social distancing is important. Wear a mask. It's a miracle that we're both here and we survived.
12 states in total are seeing record daily highs, including Texas, where the infection rate and hospitalizations are doubling.
We are moving very fast in the wrong direction.
Today, Florida, one of the last to lock down and one of the first to reopen, hit more than 100,000 cases. Now the Surgeon General is urging everyone to wear masks when social distancing isn't possible.
This is a real spike. This is a real trajectory.
A new model shows Florida could be the country's next epicenter. Meantime, the country's former epicenter, New York City, has now moved into phase 2 of reopening. That means barber shops and salons are open, outdoor dining and in-store retail are also back. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
It's been months since many businesses in downtown Indianapolis have been filled with customers. Just as coronavirus restrictions were eased, some restaurants and stores were boarding up windows after protests turned violent. RTV6's Cameron Riddle spent the evening with a downtown business owner who says after months of disruptions, downtown Indy needs help or it may never be the same.
In downtown Indianapolis, this is the new normal. Boarded up businesses trying to recover from a pandemic and a weekend of riots in late May that left windows broken and businesses looted with fewer customers.
Very slow. It's slow. People are still nervous about coming downtown.
Chris Carnivus had a front row seat watching downtown Indy go from lively to ghost town. Carnivus owns Jack's Donuts on Market Street. His donut shop was the first business to be damaged when peaceful protests turned into violent riots on May 29th. He says business downtown is slowly increasing, but believes the economic damage is already done.
We've lost a lot of business downtown. I think when this all shakes down, I think we're going to end up with a lot of empty real estate.
Jack's Donuts is one of the businesses that is reopened, but with wood panels covering the windows. One panel greets Carnivus daily, bearing a message from protesters apologizing for the damage to his shop, but explaining that they had to be heard. Carnivus says many business owners plan to keep the boards up until city leaders address the concerns of protesters. He says business owners would like to have a word too.
The mayor, we haven't heard from the mayor. The mayor's been in hiding since this all happened. His job is to make sure that the city is a safe, secure place. He should be out meeting with the business owners of the community, and he's failed to do that. We've heard nothing from him since this has happened.
Carnivus says in this time of uncertainty, more leadership is needed to create a new balance of bringing customers back to downtown while also making sure protesters are being heard as well.
We need people to come downtown. We need people to come see our establishments and spend money and revitalize the city.
In Indianapolis, Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Thanks, Cameron. And Cameron reached out to Mayor Haughville's office after talking to Chris tonight. Deputy Communications Director Mark Bode says, quote, the mayor's office has been in continued contact with downtown establishments and associations throughout the past several months. We are working to maintain lines of communication with businesses on reopening from both the pandemic and the protests, while also supporting advocacy organizations, including Downtown Indy, to support businesses during this difficult time.
Results of an independent review of IMPD's response to the protests are expected by the end of the year. Today, Mayor Haughville announced a committee will study the department's action during protests in late May and early June. 3 people will review if and how officers followed current policies and recommend potential changes. Last week, the ACLU filed a lawsuit against the city over IMPD's use of tear gas and other chemical agents during the protests. To learn more about the committee members and their credentials, go to theindychannel.com and click on this story.
And on Thursday, Indianapolis Public Schools will hold a community conversation on race. This type of discussion has become more prominent in recent weeks, but it's nothing new at IPS. The district has been making anti-racism efforts for years. Since 2015, all teachers, staff, bus drivers, and even food service employees are required to take part in a 2-day racial inequity training. More than 70% of students in the district are black and brown. Dr. Patricia Payne, the IPS Racial Equity Office Director, says addressing racial disparities is a top priority.
We help teachers start examining their belief system, that we aren't just talking about white teachers either. We're talking about all teachers, because racism can be internalized by black and brown people. If that student's skin color is black or brown, automatically, in way too many cases, your expectations sink to the ground.
The district hopes to involve students in this training starting in the fall, and if you are interested in taking part in Thursday's town hall, go to myips.org to register.
A crisis of violence continues in Indianapolis today. Local faith leaders met to discuss how to help fight that problem. The meeting came after at least 2 homicides and several shootings over the weekend. Community groups and churches already lead countless programs and initiatives to help curb violence. Pastor Terry Webster, Sr., says the group is trying to figure out what else they can do.
We're at a crisis. It's a crisis, and no amount of legislation by itself can fix it. It's going to take all of us.
The group also plans to share recommendations for city leaders. This evening, a faith-based organization held a prayer march on Monument Circle. According to the group's website, they believe in the power of unity through prayer. Participants say faith will help the community conquer issues like violence and racial injustice.
I believe that love conquers all, and everything that needs to happen can only happen through love, peace, harmony, and unity.
The group plans to hold marches every Monday throughout the summer.
Amid the growing movement to remove monuments of Confederate leaders, some communities are building memorials to remember those who fought for equality, coming up the historic moment marked by this bench.
Many people still waiting for stimulus checks can't afford to lose out on more money, but a growing number of scams could put you in that position. Next, how to protect yourself and your money.
Kroger, fresh for everyone.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
As the pandemic continues, the Rebound Indiana is making sure the systems meant to get you back on your feet are working the way they should. The Internal Revenue Service is seeking an uptick in scams related to COVID-19 and stimulus payments. And with many people still waiting on their money, Call 6 Investigates found these scams could take it away from you instead. You get a text, email, or social media message that looks like it's from the IRS, and it's about your stimulus check, but it's not the IRS. When you click that link, you could be tricked into giving up your social security number or bank account information. The IRS wants you to report these scams.
We are committed to finding them regardless of where they are. We have partnerships with domestic investigative agencies and overseas law enforcement as well. So there's really no place for them to hide anymore.
If you are not sure, hang up or delete the message and call the IRS at 1-800-919-9835. The agency recently added 3,500 phone operators to help answer questions. We've also included links on how to report scams in this story on the RTV6 app and the indychannel.com/rebound. And tomorrow, Indianapolis leaders and the United Way will announce details on a program to get personal protective equipment to nonprofit groups. $2 million will help pay for the nonprofit PPE Restart Initiative. We will learn more when the mayor speaks at 10:30 a.m. The funding is part of an $80 million plan approved earlier this month by the City County Council. The money is meant to support local programs that help residents most impacted by COVID-19.
If you're struggling to afford groceries during this difficult time, there's a new resource available for you today. Indianapolis Public Schools added an additional location to its summer meal program. The Haughville Public Library is serving prepackaged lunch from 11:30 to noon, Monday through Friday. It's the only site providing meals 5 days a week. The other locations are still distributing breakfast and lunch on Mondays and Wednesdays. IPS meals are available to any student age 18 and younger. Now to the forecast here on this Monday. Another round of rain and storms moving through central Indiana. Kevin joining us now on this Storm Team 6 alert day.
And much needed rain, Mark. You just don't need it all in an hour's period of time, that's for sure. As we look to the west, downtown Indy's dry now, but you get into central Hendricks County and we've got widespread general rainfall. More on that in a second. Again, any severe threat overnight very low. More likely we'll see some street flooding as a result of pockets of heavy rainfall. From Sullivan and Terre Haute nearly into Hendricks County around Danville, Avon, Plainfield, and then all the way up through portions of Hamilton County to Tipton and Kokomo. That's the line that will push to the east as you sleep tonight. Let's go to Park County because that's where we've got the flood advisory, and Rockville has been surrounded by heavy rainfall tonight. 2 inches generally, 1.5 inches in the southern portion of Park County, and then you get into southwest Montgomery, southwest of Crawfordsville, nearly 2.5 inches of rain. What happens the rest of the night? The rain will move to the east and slowly pinwheel out of the state, at least the widespread coverage, and our rainfall chances tomorrow are greatest first thing in the morning, 40% chance, then they'll fall through the day tomorrow. That wind will be out of the northwest, and that will deliver cooler temperatures and eventually lower humidity. Couple days in the 70s. We're back in the 80s barely on Thursday. Then we'll turn it right back to summer warmth and humidity to end the week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, fairly low humidities, very enjoyable. Friday into the weekend, more of a tropical feel. Will be at the top of the humidity scale. You'll notice that right away, and that will also play into the return of rain chances. Temperatures tomorrow, they start in the 60s and stay in the 70s for highs, 79 the afternoon high. And again, the afternoon should be dry, any scattered showers for the morning. The wind changes direction, comes out of the northwest, 15 to 25 miles per hour. High temperatures tomorrow, coolest northern Indiana, maybe hitting 80 just south of Interstate 70. Wednesday forecast, low humidity, sunshine, comfortable temperatures. Sounds like a good day to me. As you look ahead, Thursday, still dry, 81 degrees. The chance for thunderstorms returns and our temperature jumps quickly on Friday back to 88. Humidity is the story of the weekend. That will be the fuel for additional thunderstorms. Thunderstorms likely Saturday, 89. Chance for thunderstorms is less on Sunday, but the humidity will still be there. Temperatures will still be in the upper 80s. That's a very summer-like stretch. Friday through Monday, Amanda, steamy with occasional thunderstorms.
All right, thank you, Kevin. The Indy 11 season is expected to resume next month. Details are still in the works, and some players have spent part of this prolonged off-season teaching and inspiring kids from around the world. RTV6 Sports Director Dave First shows how in the Sports Extra Spotlight.
The workouts have returned. The matches will eventually. And for the Indy 11, including Tyler Gibson and Drew Connor, waiting is the hardest part.
Yeah, we just sit and wait and play soccer. I guess that's the difference between us and others, right? It's like some people are still, doing their jobs from home, and we were gone just practicing in small groups in the beginning, and just recently kind of, opened up into groups at 10.
Until the games return, their uninspiring time has turned into anything but.
This ball has brought me so much joy.
Following the lead of friend and former UConn star Steven Shera, who told the guys some 5 years ago about a program called Around the World, taking the game of soccer to underserved youth on a global scale.
He was talking to me then about he was going to start up this Around the World's program, and we've just kind of stayed in touch ever since.
So with a little extra free time, Tyler sent in his video. Drew sent in his.
Like, it started off as him just kind of telling us, hey, do you want to try and, sit down and juggle and see how many you get, and I'll send it to like all my kids and stuff like that. So it kind of started as just us like helping a friend out, and then all of a sudden we got these videos back from him from kids all over the world, and it was pretty cool to see.
Keep working hard, keep getting touches.
Sure enough, the videos started coming in from everywhere. Senegal, Kenya, Indonesia, Costa Rica. And in a very complicated world, suddenly the simple joy of a child and a ball.
In a way, does it remind you when you guys were kids growing up?
It's really cool to see and what a soccer ball can do. Literally just a ball.
And I think when you see a kid just, working on his skills or just having fun with the ball, it can kind of make you think back to when it was to simpler times when it was more about just having fun.
The business of soccer will return soon enough. For now, from Indy to the world, inspiring beyond borders. Day first, RTV6 Sports.
Some people run in the best circles.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
More statues and monuments are coming down around the country, and not just Confederate ones either. The American Museum of Natural History in New York will remove this statue of Theodore Roosevelt. It depicts the former president on horseback with a Native American man and an African man standing next to the horse. The statue has been criticized for years for symbolizing colonial expansion and racial discrimination. And while there is a growing movement to get rid of that type of imagery nationwide, some communities are building new symbols. Scripps reporter Dan Grossman learned the significance of a memorial project in Arkansas from the people behind it.
Much like these bolts bind its wood to its frame.
It's great, and
this bench binds Adacia Cooper and Mila Williams Thompson.
It's not just a story of building a bench, but the retelling of the history. It created a bond, and it'll last for the rest of my life.
The products of two very different friend groups and two very different backgrounds. The recent Little Rock Central High School grads met in their alma mater's boiler room.
They have a voice in the community.
It was part of the Memory Project, an idea concocted by former history teacher George West as a way to recreate and preserve the pieces of Central's civil rights history.
It was going to be a one-year project, and it became, we couldn't stop after we saw the experiences that the students were having.
Even though it's history, it didn't happen too long ago.
Adacia and Milo recreated the bench Elizabeth Eckford retreated to after she was viciously heckled on the school's first day of desegregation in 1957.
We have to recognize that racism didn't end in the 60s. It's still around, and it's still a national problem.
It's just the latest on a long list of projects that have allowed students to not only explore history, but themselves.
It's that relationship that students begin to create and build an experience beyond just the small universe that they arrive in.
With each project came a new piece of art and a new understanding of the world.
We won't take no as an answer.
A new understanding that makes them not only purveyors of history, but change.
Being in a time where things are being recorded and there's so much more evidence of these inequalities, it's hard to miss, it's hard to dismiss.
It's on their shoulders to tell these stories and to become not just the voice of the past, but the action in the present.
In Little Rock, Arkansas, I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
Disney is moving forward with plans to reopen in Florida despite a rise in coronavirus cases in the state. Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom will begin a phased reopening on July 11th. Epcot and Hollywood Studios are scheduled to reopen on July 15th. Visitors will have their temperature checked. Anyone 2 years and older will be required to wear a face covering, and some attractions will be temporarily closed to help maintain social distancing.
Few rumbles of thunder overnight, but again, any severe weather unlikely. There's the rain in western half of the state shifting east through the overnight hours. Amanda?
Thanks, Kevin, and thank you for making RTV6 your choice for news. Good Morning Indiana starts at 4:30. Good night.